Welcome, my fellow citizens of the Ballad. The red question I hear once again to shine a light on the darkest secrets and share with you there are no strings on me. I'm a real boy now. Truth. Today, we proudly present to you the Diablerist that never made it to the red list, the fairy tale lover that was undercover, the bitch that defines table flips, the one and only Madame Guil. Starting out as a peasant girl with no prospects but to serve and die, she rose to become a true shaker and slayer of the Ivory Tower. The story of Madame Guil has been spun as a child's bedtime story of two brave and passionate lovers fighting fate to be together. But this, my fellow seekers of the truth, is a sugar-coated smokescreen to hide from you the real, horrific truth. A truth that led to countless high-ranking and influential kindred ending up on the dinner plate. The Camarilla didn't just allow a fox amongst the chickens, they laid out a welcome mat and called it a farmer. Guil, as she was known then, came from a small French village where she lived in squalor, surrounded by filth. But like a red rose poking out of a pile of shit, she stood out due to her pure beauty. Guil was betrothed to her soulmate Luke, who she was so deeply in love with. But fate, or let's just say what it really was, a horny toreador, had other plans. In 1579, when Guil was just 16 years old, an old and spiteful feudal baron of France named Philippe Voldery spotted Guil dancing at the local harvest festival. Deciding she would be his newest prize, he summoned her up to his castle and forced himself on her in both body and blood, brutally ending her dreams of marriage and a simple life. But the embrace turned Guil from a happy-go-lucky peasant girl to a vindictive, I'm gonna burn your fucking castle down, psychopath. Baron Voltaire soon found himself regretting his lust for beauty, as shortly after her embrace, Guil turned on him. She made her point literally with a stick to his chest and then burned his castle down around him. Safe to say, she got into the swing of being a kindred quickly. Guil, being newly created a messed up psychopath, was left unsatisfied with her vengeance on Philippe Voldery. She found herself wanting to punish others for what she had become, and for the love that was stolen from her. Safe to say, she was pretty pissed. So she went on a hunt. She used her looks and her charm to worm her way into Kindred society, quickly seeking out and winning over influential and active kindred. Guil was very clever in the way she moved around her core. She was well liked, but never well known. She was there, but never really seen. Unless, of course, she wanted you to see her. Then you would find yourself wrapped up in this beautiful kindred's eyes before being whisked off for a private conversation. Guil moved around court like a crocodile, patiently waiting just below the surface, unseen, picking out her prey carefully before striking and dragging them into the shadows. She quickly mastered how to get away with murder, pinning disappearances that followed her on sabbat or werewolf activities, both of which were rampant in the area at the time. But Guil wasn't just leaving kindred out in the sun. Oh no. She was draining them dry, sucking out their souls, drinking the dark Kool-Aid. She was committing diablerie over and over again, gaining more strength with each and every kill. Now, the love story narrative would have you believe that during the 17th century, whilst at the height of her dine and dash lifestyle, Guil stumbled across an image of her old love, Luke. Luke, as it turned out, had wandered the countryside in a deep depression, thinking he'd lost the love of his life. By chance, a band of young anarchs found him on a dark, dirty road and embraced him. The former lovers then eventually came together by sheer luck and rekindled their love for one another. Together they vowed to take revenge on the monsters who'd stolen so much from them or died trying. The Bonnie and Clyde of Kindred society. But the truth is, Guil didn't stumble across Luke. He went looking for her, and once he found her, he introduced her to his Sabbat brothers and sisters. By sharing their blood, Guil quickly rekindled both her past love and her burning hatred of Kindred society. The two lovers had a lot in common: love, revenge, the desire for freedom, and a thirst for vampire souls. United at last, they turned their attentions back to Kindred society. With the backing of Luke's contacts, the pair ravaged France. They were unstoppable, right up until they messed with the wrong Kindred. Their target just so happened to be the child of Francois Villon, the bloody Toreador Prince of France. Shit went sideways fast. Luke ended up taking the heat and being bloodhunted. Shortly after, he was reported as killed. Heartbroken, Guil fled into the waste and past from history. The power couple finally broken up. At least, that's what they wanted everyone to believe. The truth is they got sloppy and botched the kill. Luke's face got seen by someone who had big ties within the Kindred community, and from there things got messy. A blood hunt was declared on Luke, forcing him to go on the run. To save their skin, Guil and Luke burned their ties and went into hiding. Guil joined the Anarchs and Luke found shelter back within the Sabbat. Thankfully, there was a big distraction just around the corner: the French Revolution! With the Camarilla busy trying to hide the silverware and wash their noble backs, Guil and Luke quietly and methodically hunted and dragged to the guillotine any kindred that had ties to their past lives. You see, it's not like you could just burn some old pictures or erase a hard drive or two. Back then, if you wanted someone to forget your face, you had to do it the hard way: remove their head. When they finished their hit list, it was time for one last execution. Guil herself took center stage and, using a mortal puppet, faked her own death. So now everyone believes that both she and Luke are dead, so there's no one looking for them, and their slates are officially clean. This left Guil free to sneak back into Kindred society as the new and improved Madame Guil. Little bit on the nose if you ask me. Under her new name, Guil joined Prince Villon's court and spent the next 2 centuries rebuilding France after the Revolution and clawing her way up the ranks. She built up contacts and networks of spies within both the Sabbat and Camarilla. Finally, in 1897, Prince Villon's own child, Justica Villette, stepped down from office. Madame Guil found herself perfectly placed to slide into the role and become the new Toreador Justica. Guil and Luke had been handed the keys to the hen house and they were hungry. But they had to be smart, no more mistakes. They changed tactics. They used the Camarilla's own bullshit against them. Madame Guil was ruthless and unforgiving Justica. She quickly gained a reputation for going after untouchables, those whose rank and power were considered themselves above the law. Her ability to sniff out traitors and Diablerist was almost uncanny. What's that old saying? You can't bullshit a bullshitter. Meanwhile, Luke took care of any problems that arose in the Sabbat, and with the full support of the Camarilla and Sabbat at their fingertips, it was easy to spin the right stories and place blame wherever they needed it, wherever they were guilty or not. As a result, Guil and Luke became experts at taking down potential rivals and covering up their rare mistakes. And if anyone got close to revealing their true intentions, they soon found themselves on the chopping block. The pair continued gorging themselves, until once again, the heat started to get too much. Despite their best efforts, rumors started spreading of Guil's attachment to the Sabbat. Truly untouchable faces started looking in her direction. Awkward questions were being asked, and it was time to pull the cord and go out with a bang. Neither Guil or Luke really gave a fuck about their sect, and it was time for them both to disappear. Again, fate threw them a bone. The world was in chaos. The beckoning, the Second Inquisition attack, Hardestadt finally being greased, and this Sabbat exodus to the Middle East. Too much for even the most powerful Kindred to keep track of everything. So, the two of them made their plans. The Ministry were due to meet with the Camarilla in Paris, an opportunity too perfect to pass up. Under the guise of a Banu Hakim terrorist attack, Luke placed explosive charges around the meeting site and waited for the perfect moment. Guil positioned herself somewhere she could be seen by survivors, but also appear to be engulfed in the explosion. Then, under false pretenses of being security for the event, Luke let his face be seen by the right people at the right time. When all was ready, the charges were detonated. Luke and Guil and many others were engulfed in a massive explosion that shook the very foundations of Paris. Some say that it didn't go down quite like that. There are whispers of a blood feast, Guil and Luke drowning themselves in the blood and souls of powerful Camarilla and Sabbat. Others say that they were never even there, making their escape long before the meeting and using doubles to play their parts. There are as many rumors as there are dead bodies. But whatever the truth is, neither of them have ever been seen again. So ask yourself this, my fellow citizens of the blood. Do you see signs of another French Revolution? Is there an increase in disappearing kindred near you? Did you ever have ties with Madame Guil? If the answer to any of these questions is yes, ask yourself this. Do you feel safe? And more importantly, why do you obey?